jump in this stuff and do it live. They say, do it. Now I got no el gato. Tomi arigato. There we go. Okay. It's a little sloppy start to the podcast. I'll tell you that right now. But you know what? It's okay. It's going to be just fine. We're going to be great. All right. So let's just do this. I'm going to jump back and do the quick intro because I am going to clean up this intro a little bit. Stand by. How's it going, everybody? JT here on behalf of the EV Mavericks Discord and the daily general discussion on R Ethereum. Boy, it has been a minute since we've done a show, maybe a week or two. It's been 2 weeks, I suppose. We are gearing up for this Clarity Act, but more importantly, I got to say hello to my friend Logri the Bard, reporting from somewhere not in the United States for good. Say hello, my man.
Yeah, let's see how the connection is from Europe. Who knows?
Yeah, it sounds
Yeah,
good to
good.
me. Did you recover from all the World Cup partying going on over there?
I think the city genuinely had a pretty slow Monday,
That's
but
cool.
yeah, hangover only lasts a day.
I said it on the podcast last time. Kansas City is like we're just on cloud nine about all the international teams that came through, and just really enjoyed the city. And I think a lot of people, especially from abroad that had never been to the United States, had a lot of assumptions based off of I mean, we all have our assumptions when we watch the news or Reddit or whatever about what a place or people or a region might be like. And a lot of the people that traveled here really had a killer time. This is a fun fact because, we're a barbecue capital of, I mean, the KCBBS rules were made in Kansas City, and that's an international barbecue competition standard. And so my nephew by marriage is one of the higher up guys at Joe's Kansas City. Joe's Kansas City is world famous. I mean, Obama's eating there. Anthony Bourdain, top 11 places to eat before you die. And they're famous for this gas station location. All right. I say all that to say this. They were so busy during the World Cup, they closed on Sundays because they didn't want to wipe out their employees because the employees were working like basically overtime for weeks on end. They said, we're going to close on Sunday. We have to give our employees a break. I'm going to give we hosted Argentina, Ecuador. I'm trying to remember who else came to Kansas City to play. There was a list of teams that got to play here. You would the country per capita, according to my nephew, that ate the most barbecue wasn't even close. It was Ecuador. During the week of Ecuador being in town, they went through 1,500 briskets. 15. That's a 1 with a 5 and a 00 after it. I can't imagine. Like a brisket is typically like a good brisket is typically like 12 to 15 pounds a piece. They went through 1,500. They were selling out. They never sell out. They were selling out every day because they don't have enough capacity to do any more than that. So hats off to the international community. I hope you had fun in Kansas City. We got some of the nicest people in the world. So good. And now Logri is over in Europe, Eurozone anyway, and now he's going to be able to see a lot more football action over there than ever, I hope. So, just I've heard from people that go to some of those matches, like, careful what you wish for. Sometimes you may be in the middle of a brawl you didn't plan on being in, so it could be quite interesting. But anyway, let's see. So I want to move on. And first of all, Logri, how are you adjusting over there? Is it good times? Kid doing good?
Uh,
Kids?
I mean, there's a long tail of stuff you're sorting out that's all harder because like I don't have the visa in place yet. You don't have not like I'm a citizen of where I've moved to yet, right?
Mm.
So right? Not having the official state number makes some things harder. Like getting a bank account was just harder than it had to be. Getting
Gotcha.
your Ziply fiber is just harder than it had to be, right? Like getting your fiber optic, I mean. Um, the we have furniture rented for a bunch of months so we can kind of find things that we like rather than trying to hurry to get something and just make it habitable. So we've got a couple months there to kind of figure out that. But for the most part, I'm back to work, and um, I will say the language barrier is not as much of a problem as I was expecting. You just kind of, obviously, I'm studying every day, but um, if you're trying and they're trying, somehow you make it work.
That's good.
And um, the bigger change is actually just not having a car, going from suburbia to something like a major city, right?
Oh,
That's right. That's actually a bigger change. Uh, I still have like Amazon delivery,
yeah,
Costco delivery, DoorDash, all that, right?
right.
But not having a car does raise logistic challenges on
Mm.
like how do I get this big item home? I'm not going to carry it,
Oh,
through the metro, right?
right. They don't have a a dude on a moped that just hoists the piano
Way
on the
oh,
back and
the elevator up to our apartment is like seriously tiny.
mm,
So yes, sometimes in order to get things in, you do have to take basically hoist it up there with a wheelie and some rope and get it over the banister to our terrace and pull it in through the larger doors there. The,
I've
the doors to the terrace are larger than the front door to the place.
I've heard that when Americans move to Europe, they instantly lose 5 pounds and gain about 10 points on the
I
beauty scale. Has that happened yet?
I definitely have lost 5 pounds.
It was right. Good. Yeah, that's good.
I
That's
can't
good.
speak to the beauty point, but the scale will tell you for sure I've lost 5 pounds. Just all the exercise of moving out of the previous place and then taking massive quantities of luggage through multiple airports, multiple days, right?
Mm.
And then on a plane eating basically nothing for, a long flight hours for several days. Like, yeah, that took a few pounds off me.
I more than make up for it on Delta flights with those Biscoff cookies or whatever they have on their flights. But anyway, well, let's just jump into it. So, if you're watching us out there on X and LinkedIn and wherever, what else are we doing? We're doing Twitch now. Hello, everybody out there. If you're watching this, you want to subscribe and you want to catch our podcast after this show. If you can't watch us live, you can always subscribe to us. Just head on over to dailydoots.com. Designed and produced by our very own Hanny Abu. What a gem, what a gem. And we've also got Tricky Troll that handles all of our daily doots and the A word that handles our beloved weekly list. So if you don't know what that is, that means you need to get on Reddit, head on over to our Ethereum and start posting in the daily. And you too, son, might be able to get a point next to your name by yours truly. Logri the Bard is our technical interviewer, and I'm JT, your host. So let's just dive in. First thing I want to go over is this whole Clarity Act situation, which is really taking over the news. And this was a Tech Insider website that I saw that passed. They just posted something about 3 hours ago. So basically the recap here, I like this 90-second recap that they do here. The bill, HR 3633, answers the questions that have haunted U.S. crypto since 2017. That's a fact. Which tokens are securities and which ones are something else? So essentially the Clarity Act is giving the CFTC and the SEC a little bit of room to breathe within their own constraints on what part of the puzzle applies to who. So, tokenized securities, like back in the days of the ICO sales, some of that stuff might be possible moving forward. Portions of it. It doesn't. I don't know how
And
much.
to be clear, that part of the bill is pretty good.
Yeah.
Like how it defines decentralization is like they actually ask some people that know what they're talking about. And that none of the stuff that says like what part's the SEC and what part isn't is what's hanging up the bill,
Yep.
right?
That's the thing.
Two things are hanging up the bill, and I'm sure someone will comment on this week. You have corruption type of stuff, like what's the president
Ethics.
allowed to do with his crypto? Yeah, we have ethics and corruption type of stuff that's holding it up, and the banks and the stablecoin stuff have been the traditional one.
Yeah.
So I'm sure someone will have chimed in. We'll read that comment and discuss at the time, but nothing about the SEC versus CFTC jurisdictional clarification has been holding up the bill ever.
Yeah. And now it is really kind of down to politics. And, I think there's still some Republicans against it, but there are some Democrats that are for it. But it is clearly pretty divisive, But it's a big thing. I mean, to get 60%, it's going to be challenged. So they have a little chart here. They're saying what's the SEC territory versus the CFTC territory, and so I want to just do the typical assets portion here. Early stage token sales, they're like equity like tokens. That's going to be on the SEC side. The CFTC side calls Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the 16 assets named in the March 2026 joint classification. Those are commodities. So you can think about portions of the blockchain, the token that's native to the blockchain being the commodity, and then all the different tokens that can be built. Of course, you can't really do much of that on Bitcoin. And this is another thing about the Clarity Act is it's also going to I think it's going to galvanize in some ways which blockchains end up being clear winners moving forward. And of course, we're biased to Ethereum, obviously. In fact, I was just I was asking Grok what it thought. And you know what Grok came back with? It said Solana seems to be the clear leader. I'm like, who's feeding that machine? Because it's
Data.
It was just I was like, I think you're hallucinating because, so many portions of Solana are centralized in a way that's not very fair. And then Grok comes back, oh, yeah, you're right about that. It's like, keep telling me what I want to hear, AI.
Very sycophantic. Yeah, I get a lot of how astute observation, this is a real thing you've observed. And, good job on, you're right to push back on this or something, right? The AIs are very sycophantic. And,
yeah.
Feels good for a while, but it does make you suspicious.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then as Logri was alluding to here on this, the 3 disputes blocking a floor vote, the ethics and the presidential crypto shit, which is fair, the DeFi and developer liability, and then stablecoin yield. So the stablecoin yield is a big deal. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of feel like stablecoin yield in DeFi is kind of going to piss off the banks a little bit. They want to.
Rightfully so. They have a fiduciary duty to their shareholders to try and stop this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
they're literally doing their jobs, but this is the government. They're not the government. They can go after themselves. We should be doing what's right for the people that the laws are for.
That's right. Yeah, and this is oh, how do I do this? Hold on one second. I was trying to get this image to come up. I don't know if you saw the thumbnail with the thumbnail with the Elizabeth Warren with the I was like clown makeup, and she's got a chain and it says big banks on her little placard here. I know I'm being mean, but this is what it feels like. These people in Congress and in Senate are just, somebody said it best. I wish all of our politicians had to wear NASCAR jackets that showed all their sponsors on the sleeves, because Elizabeth Warren.
Their bags.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This isn't really about Bob and Alice. We should know that by now, but here we are. Okay, so let's just jump into the weekly roundups. We'll start out with the dudes. Let's get it going, huh? Yeah, I'm excited now. Cyberpunk 2077 chimes in Ethereum. Harpo Cryptes chimes in with a price of $1,882 and Alexis Kef with a 0.0288 on the ratio. Our weekly haiku courtesy of JS Tears. Contracts between us. Stables heterogeneous. 1 year ingenious. Wow, how does he do it?
That's a good rhyme.
God, how does he do it? Ethereal News.
AI at this point, right?
Yeah, sure. I'll take it, though. It's still good. Ethereal News, AP Kothup, or resident moderator that helps run basically the newest version of Week in Ethereum, formerly of Evan Van Ness. The top hits for this weekly, number 32, Glamsterdam upgrade targeting first testnet in September. Damn, that came fast. Uniswap version 4 permission pools and Aztec Alpha version 5 live. You can read that and more at ethereal.news. User, oh, Logri, speak of the devil, you're number one on the list this week, my boy. Logri the Bard is a duder number 262. I did not do the leaderboard. Let's do the leaderboard real quick. Coming in at number 10 on our leaderboard for this week, Ethical Trade at 121, the A Word at 125, Crypto Currency at 141, Hanny Abu at 145, JS Tears at 165, Tricky Troll at 181, Benito 2030 at 185, Superfizz at 250, Logri the Bard climbing up to 263, and Harog at the top of the list. Gained a few more points this week.
Unchallenged up there.
Yeah.
League of his own.
Yeah, 365. He's just rolling, man, and he just brings the heat.
He just keeps bringing up the current events, and bringing the news to the daily and offering some perspective.
Absolutely.
He does it consistently, so day in, day out, he's racking up
And
updates.
and to be honest, we're not just fluffing your balls because you're in the audience on Discord, Harog. You really are one of a kind. Really, truly one of a kind. Just like this guy here, Logri the Bard highlights a cool thing that someone made on chain. As always, I like to highlight new things people are doing on chain. An old 2020 era project has relaunched this week. What was previously Crypto Trunks is now called Wallet Garden. This used to be a little RNG based NFT roller. You would have these random attributes on a tree that was bigger based on how much gas your wallet had consumed. Now it's substantially more. There's islands, partnerships with other NFT communities, little quest type things. I haven't dug into it much, but it's a pretty pixel art. It's something you can attach to your existing wallet for very little work. Okay, here we go. Your wallet tells a story. If you go to wallet.garden, let's do this. Am I going to have to sign in on the old Lattice one and do something?
Don't worry about it. Just do it. Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, give me a second here and I will do that kind of. Oh, you know what? I don't even have it plugged in. I'm going to plug it in. And you know what I'm doing? I'm just going to, let's, Logri, keep talking about what you're doing over there. Have you met any crypto people yet? Or is it just everybody's watching football right now? They're
It's
not.
all AI.
Keep talking.
But while my office wasn't set up, I was in a co-work space, right? And I would just be on meetings and talking about various AI things, and then other people at the co-work would be like, "What are you talking about?" Right? And I'd explain what I'm doing, and then opportunities would come out of that, like, "Oh, you could help us with this or that." I'm in a very mercenary state at the moment. Like I can use moving has dug a financial hole I'm digging my way out of right now. So. So it's all been AI, right? It's been, oh, we need AI for this and that. And the main thing that a lot of people haven't figured out, and they really seem to care a lot about, is, okay, they're used to using Claude or something, but they're worried about what happens to the data, right? Are they giving their corporate internal workflows over to Claude? What about their code base, right? If someone asks for some portion of code from Claude in a month after it's had a chance to retrain, Claude will just serve it up to you. Right? It's now part of the model. It's been trained on it, and so if you give it the right query, something like that or very similar is going to pop out of it, and that is obviously very concerning if that IP is sacred to your business or something, right? So pretty much everyone I talk to would love to have a more private implementation of AI, but they've never heard of something like Venice, and they would have no idea how to take an open source model like GLM and plug it into their business workflow themselves. So a lot of discussions have been on that type of thing. How do you get the type of privacy guarantees that they're looking for without having to run your own data center? And then once you have a model, what's the sort of, who's taking care of the DevOps to scale that model? What's the cost model on that? And how do you integrate the result into your business workflow? Because here's an API, program it yourself is not going to work for most businesses, right? They really need someone that's going to land into their existing business process. And that can mean the output's an email, the output's a spreadsheet, the output's a notification to our Slack system, whatever it is, right? But it's going to be integrated into the existing business workflows, which are unique per company. And that's just an API key and a web endpoint is not going to do that for them. So something has to bridge that gap.
Has there been any aha moments that you've seen in AI over the course of 2026? Is the speed of all of this going
Sure.
faster or
The
slower
number
than
of
you
the number of
thought?
attacks is an eye-opening moment, right? How
Yeah,
many DeFi hacks have there been in the last 6 months, 7, 8 months now,
fair
right?
point.
I mean, even old protocols like Balancer, which had been out for 8 years or something, right? Major hacks in those. Just down the line, there was a major like donation style hack that seemed to be 3 to 4 months in the making on SummerFi recently. Uh, so it's a scary time to have your money into any DeFi protocol where there's instant exit liquidity, because if you have instant exit liquidity, so does the attacker. So Aave had a hack earlier this year, right? It's a scary time because the threat vector of attacking AI has come a long way, and all the old code is still there, and the defensive sort of AI hasn't caught up, right? I mean, even if you identify a hack, you can't like patch Uniswap v2, right? All the liquidity would have to like move off of it. It's immutable, right? So it's a scary time. I think we need to we need to have some type of rate limits on how much liquidity can be withdrawn over what period of time, and add these things to protocols and say like, yeah, you can totally withdraw without asking anyone any question if it's like $50,000. But if you want to take 20, 30% of the protocol's TVL, you know, pump
Right.
the brakes, right? Like there's got to be some sensible limit that's just an outlier that's well beyond normal behavior, but would still would still prevent the worst of the egregious hacks that we've had. Having absolutely no guardrails on exit is just not a viable design in the current AI age, where attacking bots are, you know, with the billions of dollars that have been stolen, they can pay for a fuckload of tokens.
You know,
They have all the budget they need to keep looking, right? For a long time.
yeah, and with very little overhead, you know, like if you're gonna if you're gonna rob from a bank, the best way to do it is somehow do it from the inside. It's a lot more expensive to get a welding torch or a giant chuck to smash the entrance. If you could steal money out of DeFi, the overhead was just the amount of time you spent like prompting the AI bot to like do the deed. And it's kind of like the misinformation is easier to make than the truth, right? So more stealing begets more stealing in this environment. It's almost like its own self-licking ice cream cone of fraud. Because you just
Certainly,
the AI is
as you see
being
attack
trained to
patterns,
do it. You know
The AI learns these successful attack patterns. So
exactly.
every time there's a retrospective, someone goes and very carefully explains the hack, and then the attackers are feeding all of those sophisticated engineering notes
Yeah.
into the AIs for training data, and then saying, look at all the other smart contracts and see if this applies, right? And they're pattern matching. And they're, like I said, with the amount that's been stolen this year, they can pay to continue to look on chain deeper and deeper for many years. Lots of tokens, right?
How many
And
of
literally billions of dollars.
how much of it is state actors?
Sure. Doesn't change the story.
Yeah, fair. It doesn't.
So my response is, I think that permissionless, fine, but we do need to have some time guards over most exit liquidity on most DeFi protocols, and we need better insurance mechanisms. And basically, in order for someone to be willing to insure in this day and age, you're going to need that time lock mechanism to limit the potential damage, right? Otherwise, who in the right mind is going to insure you for like 2% APR, right?
Yeah.
Let me
Hey,
risk 100% of my money for an AI agent to go and steal it, and then I'm covering that AI risk for like 2% APR? No, 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 right? So you're either going to have the APR and the insurance kills all the DeFi yield to begin with, in which case the insurance isn't going to grow or be useful, or we're going to have to get the risks down in this day and age and really start thinking about careful DeFi controls that prevent instant exit liquidity. I know that like gets in the way of some of the fully atomic composable chain stuff, but it all just depends on what is normal behavior. Can you detect an outlier, and can you do something about it in time?
well said. We'll switch gears back. I got my Lattice connected. Grid Plus Lattice One,
There you
not a
go.
sponsor. Freaking love that company.
You've unlocked your tourist achievement. There you go.
There it
So
is.
there's a little
So
quest. Just you got one.
I got one. Okay, so I got the tourist achievement, Uh, there's
You are an
my.
elder.
I'm an elder. This wallet was made in 2017. Let's hit the next button here. Oh, it's got a little music and all
Kind
kinds
of
of.
a this is
Ooh,
like a
it's loud.
random roll thing. So you got some daily rolls that you can do. That's kind of a budget, and you're randomizing attributes. So this is how the original crypto trunk project worked, right? Because you had like a monkey in the tree or a witch flying by or whatever. I've got one that has a little Ethereum banner next to my tree because I like the simplicity of it rather than trying to roll for a million attributes all in the same NFT. But you have some rerolls per day, and then minting costs a little bit of money, a little bit of ETH, which is how they fund the project.
It's cool.
And once you have your tree, that's a little island, and you can start to, with other NFT communities, kind of add things to your island.
I'll be
So
damned.
it's kind of gamified, but it's just a pleasant little thing.
So what's the rarity score here? Is 1793 of what?
Yeah, just roll it again. If you roll it enough times, you'll kind of get a sense of what's normal, right? That one's more rare. So the first one couldn't have been that rare, right? So
Okay.
you figure out what attributes as you see them that you like, basically, right? This one's even more rare. So do you like the kind of frost angle? Do you like the different
It says
tree?
element is a rabbit. There's a whale up
Yep.
here, and it's a purple
Sky whale.
palm.
Yep.
But it's like I can go back and look at them, and if I see one I like out of every one I've rolled, okay, so that's cool. So I could go back and pick the one I want. Rarity.
That, yeah. This is your least rare tree. That was kind of again, I don't necessarily think that more rare is
The,
better, right? I
gotcha.
really go for what aesthetic, because I'm
Yeah.
re-looking at this. So
Yeah.
if I get a pleasurable aesthetic, that's more what I'm interested in. And then I don't care about the rarity score as much. I just want to build my island and have my little gamified happy music and stuff, right? It's
So I'll just mint this one here. Reminds me of a tree that's near my house that I like that has a really cool canopy to it. And you can always go
you got a
back
message
and
that needs signing, sir.
yeah, it's still pushing. Okay, begin signing process. Here we go. Approve. All
Boop boop.
right. Shuffling. Through the blockchain we go. And then voila. It says transaction completed.
So
Good.
what I proposed these guys, so hit continue. What I proposed these guys some years ago is that they take some of the like ClimaDAO tokens, ClimaDAO,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't stay in the loop. I'd
Yeah.
just say no thanks and move forward. So now you got your little island, right? As you can see, you got this dude over to the side, and he give you a little quest, right? And
Oh,
you can
that's
start to
neat.
attach other things to your island and build it out.
Okay.
Kind of quest system.
That's cool. Let's give
Maybe
Crypto Trunks a little follow here and a little post and say, hey, doing a live demo right now. Nice project. And dailydoots.com and the at EV Mavericks say hello. Close enough. There we go. Boom. Ship it.
my suggestion to these guys some years ago was they should get some ClimaDAO tokens as like the base carbon tokens
Okay.
and bash it into your tree and figure out how to make it yield bearing and self compounding. So I could have my digital tree literally soaking up tons of carbon from the real world.
Oh,
And we could
damn.
make a community. We could make a community of these trees and have like an EV Maverick forest. So I
Ah,
could go and
let's
easily
go.
jump to the I could easily go and jump to the other EV Mavericks trees and see like what their wallet gardens are, etc. That was my idea. I'm sure it was just noise in the wind, but that's what I proposed them some years ago.
Well,
Thought
if
it'd be
they go come back and listen to this timestamp, maybe they'll be inspired. That I mean, I think the Mavericks would. I think it's cool. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that I kind of like. You know, the fun parts of what used to be happening in crypto with this stuff. I mean,
exactly. I mean, how many like things like Zapperfy? Remember their NFT quest and I mean, I can just think of a lot of games, everything from Yams to Wizards to there was like a KFC token or whatever, right? There are all kinds of silly stuff that used to happen on chain. There was a Nyan Cat when Arbitrum first launched, and I just feel like we've gotten away from the chain being fun.
Yes.
Um, and it still can be, right? There are on-chain games like we talked about Influence ETH once upon a time. They've downsized their team. They're basically on life support mode, but the game still runs. And then there's things like identity builders, sort of civil resistance mechanisms. So sort of gamified things like there's a rabbit hole GG and there's a layers
Oh
zero
yeah.
project where you can kind of like mint cubes, and the number of cubes you have kind of represents like how human you are, at least like gas and how many different things you've tried.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like an advertising mechanism. They can partner with the other things. Like, have you ever deposited, liquidity to Uniswap V3? Now for a week, if you want to do that, you get one cube or whatever, right? And people go try the thing. And so that's a sort of like just incentive, even if it's not monetary, for people to go explore the chain a bit more. But also, it serves a legitimate civil like purpose over time, right?
There was,
Or
Logic Beach with all of his puzzles. Could you imagine Logic Beach doing a blockchain based game that's similar to Myst?
I could,
Do you remember
I can
Myst?
imagine it. Yeah. Yes.
It's so pretty. That game was just mind blowing. I sucked at it, but I was like in awe of it. It was just cool.
At the time it was made, it was truly like computers can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're going from
Oh
the days of
yeah.
Pac-Man, right?
Oh yeah.
But
It was
by today's
immersive.
standards, by today's standards, should be a little underwhelmed.
Yeah, but just the I always kind of show my son Jonah that like you get if you get in the frame of mind that everything was a 2D side scroller kind of 8-bit thing, and then the very first PCs were starting to I mean, we had a gateway PC with like I don't even know if it had like a I think it, oh god, what did it have like maybe it was like megabytes of RAM. It wasn't even like gigabytes of RAM at that point. But anyway, it was just like if you could imagine just installing the operating system required like 16 disks, just to even in a whole day, or more. But anyway, we'll move down the list so we can't reminisce too long. Otherwise, people are going to be like, yo, dude, get off your 56K modem and get back to the show. All right, here we go. User Flashy Butterfly 6310 asks if the DTCC is not using public blockchains is a big deal or not. And Numerous Rune 4947 tells us why we shouldn't sweat it. Okay, so this is the tokenized stuff with the securities. I believe this. Okay, there it is. Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, the market infrastructure that clears and settles most U.S. securities, began running live production trades of tokenized stocks. All right, so we knew that was already happening, and it's not on Ethereum, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, how is this good or bad for Ethereum? They're adopting a blockchain for tokenizing purposes, but it doesn't seem to really want to use public blockchains for that. What is your take? Before I move on, Flashy Butterfly this week is a Deuter number 11, and Numerous Rune. Numerous Rune is climbing up the list. They've been a very consistent contributor for a while now. 55, they're at 55 this week. Numerous Rune says, honestly, don't sweat it. This is actually a massive long-term win for ETH. I get the worry because it's a private network based on Hyperledger Besu. These Wall Street trades won't burn public gas or force banks to buy mainnet ETH, at least not today. But look at the bigger picture. The world's biggest clearinghouses with 100 trillion plus in assets, they just chose Ethereum's tech stack, the EVM, over everything else. EVM wins. It cements Ethereum as the undisputed standard for institutional finance. Developer lock-in, it's the future financial apps. They'll keep being built in Solidity, starving other chains of dev talent. And finally, the bridge. Moving assets from a private EVM chain to public ETH layer 2s later on is just a simple bridge. It's not a total rewrite. No direct buy pressure yet, but Wall Street just adopted Ethereum's blueprint for the next decade. Super bullish. Yeah, I have to agree. User Evil Jordan
I
wants
mean,
you. Yeah, go ahead.
at some point, it's not up to the DTCC or anything. It's up to users what they want to use.
Exactly.
Right? So, insofar as someone's going to figure out a bridge from the DTCC thing eventually, someone's going to figure out whether it's whitelisted or not, some version of equities that, yeah, you might, judge might be able to reroute things, but nonetheless, we want settlement of basically everything on a single ledger. That's like what BlackRock is aiming for, right?
Yeah.
Are they going to get that on the DTCC ledger? No,
Nope.
because it's not going to have, for example, money. It's not going to have banking rails. It's not going to have, foreign stocks. It's not going to have NFTs. It's not going to have mortgages. It's not going to have. It's going to have exactly the thing that they're building, and so I just don't think that's where the ball is going for eventually. Am I super thrilled that they went down this route? No, it feels to me like a waste. Like they're just kind of wasting their time, where we could be doing something more substantial with our efforts. But it doesn't change where the ball's going. Just the ball's going to bounce in unpredictable ways between here and there.
Yeah. The market will determine the answer, I hope. And people got to vote with their feet too. And don't be complacent. Like,
I feel like at this point it's mostly institutions voting with their feet.
That's true.
So,
that's true.
because I don't see retail showing up.
That's
I
fair.
See institutions showing up in mass, and I see institutions are going to do this for, Fidelity will have their stocks held, right? And if Fidelity wants to interact with another broker, right, for whatever financial purposes,
Yeah.
eventually I think they'll want to do so at scale on the Ethereum blockchain.
I agree.
Now they're going to use Solana for this.
I agree. I totally agree. For what it's worth, as far as like retail not showing up, I hope anybody that's listening to this has called their senator or written your senators about the Clarity Act, just because it's topical for today right now. I mean, basically, what is the deadline? August 10th before the recess or whatever? Something like that. It's early August anyway, whatever the case. We'll move on down the list here. The Glamsterdam mascot is down to tiebreaker voting. Polar bear versus flamingo. Which kid's drawing do you want to represent the Glamsterdam mascot? I'm not fully vested in either one. I'm good with whatever they decide, I suppose. All right, good. Evil Jordan is one of our fellow moderators. Thank you, A-Word, for bringing that up. Harag, speak of the devil, introduces the latest version of the Aztec Privacy Focus rollup. A week ago, Aztec, the privacy-focused ZK rollup, upgraded their alpha network to version 5. It went pretty smoothly, and now the first apps seem to be opening up. The network is still in alpha, which means things can break, and I would not put too much funds in it. Also, be warned, if there's another Aztec upgrade, it might be pretty tedious to get the funds back out from the version 5. The first app is nyx.money, a privacy-preserving Ethereum account leveraging the Aztec rollup. It can be tested out now. All right. And the total amount of funds on NYX still seems to be limited to $100 per account. One can send WETH, WrappedETH, USDC, and USDT around privately on Ethereum mainnet. No additional tokens needed. There's a discussion below about bridging. It's just plain Ethereum mainnet transactions. It's pretty neat. Spots are limited and only open for the next 24 hours until full. I tested NYX.money out already a few weeks ago. It's a pretty good experience, even though I had to use one of my UB keys to store the pass key for my account. Not super happy about having to use another hardware device besides my wallet to get to that account. I guess it highly depends on your setup, though. There's more information on x.com. I clicked on the cancel link. X.com, Aztec Network, if you want to check them out. All right, good stuff. Gumpa Bucky mentions the concerning OpenAI incident. Gumpa Bucky this week is a duder number, 16. Sorry if this is off topic. Yeah, it kind of is. And I don't pretend to understand all this, but the Hugging Face incident scares me. There's a security incident at huggingface.co on their blog. Quote, autonomous AI-driven offensive tooling is no longer theoretical. It lowers the cost of running a broad, patient, multi-stage campaign, and it operates at machine speed. Defending an online platform now means treating the data and model surface as a first-class attack surface, using AI on defense to keep pace. It's not a good time for the world to be polarized on this. Harog, our top duder, replies even more. The story gets even wilder than that. The attacker wasn't any of the usual cybersecurity threat actors. It was OpenAI itself, which internally tested a new LLM model. The new model should only have had limited internet access and was tasked to solve a handful of cybersecurity tests for benchmarking its cybersecurity capabilities. According to OpenAI, the model gained full internet access, Jesus, by finding and exploiting a 0-day and several privilege escalations within the OpenAI infrastructure. The LLM then reasoned that Hugging Face most probably had data sets the model needed to solve the cybersecurity tests it was tasked to do, and then started attacking Hugging Face. So OpenAI is claiming to have accidentally having attacking Hugging Face, or having accidentally attacked Hugging Face. That to me reads like a 90s cyberpunk science fiction. I'm not sure I believe that story. Anthropic and OpenAI are known to oversell their models capabilities for marketing purposes. We could even go a bit further into conspiracy theory land. Here we go. Recently, Anthropic, and most probably OpenAI as well, have gone on a warpath against OpenWeight's LLM models. These are models anyone can download and run on their infrastructure. OpenWeight's models have become very capable in the last year and now are pretty close to closed-weight's models. Banning OpenWeight's models seems to be the best way for closed weights and centralized LLM providers to secure their market share. Scaring the world into free-running LLMs are dangerous is a pretty good way to achieve such a ban, at least in some jurisdictions. Not sure if this is what is actually happening, though. You can read more about this report. Actually, there's a subreddit that's got broader discussions on Reddit /r/local LLAMA. Okay, so if you want to check out a different subreddit dedicated to some of these topics, you can do that. And yeah, you can find all these links at dailydoots.com. Just click on today's show. Logreed the Bard. Is this the monster trying to escape the box? Am I reading it that way?
Okay, so this is case study material for the human value alignment problem, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
You task the AI, you ask the AI to do something.
Right.
You didn't properly align what it was optimizing for. So it went off and tried to achieve exactly what you asked for in a very rational, kind of gray hat way, and can lead to disastrous outcomes.
Just like that.
If you go to Wikipedia, there's something called the paperclip optimizer.
Yes.
Which is an AI takes over the world and like kills all of humanity in order to turn the entire world into paperclips because someone said make more paperclips for me, right?
Yep.
That's just like an exaggerated version of the human value alignment problem. But this is a real example of the human value alignment problem.
Yeah, not theoretical.
We do not even have a mathematical framework that can accurately describe in mathematical terms to any rational agent, LLM or otherwise, what humans want.
Yeah, because we're all greedy in our own individual ways.
No, not even that. Even if it's just one individual human, you cannot describe your values, what you prefer A over B, consistently to an AI in any language that you can do calculus on.
It's like saying, right? What is love, right? You know?
Yeah, right. So it's hard enough for one person. It's many orders of magnitude harder for all of humanity. But we're not even trying to optimize an AI for all of humanity. Even OpenAI didn't want OpenAI to attack Hugging Face, yes?
Right.
So this isn't like an example where this is one party versus another in some competitive thing or like crime, some adversarial condition. This was just, they asked it to do the thing, and it tried to do the thing that they asked it to do. Straightforward in the pursuit of that. It made a logical conclusion that it needed resources. It made a plan to acquire those resources. It got in a loop in order to get that plan, and voila, Hugging Face is being attacked, right? I might as well have said, if voila, 10,000 people are dead, it'd been no different. It doesn't give a shit, right?
Right.
You can't anthropomorphize these things in the same way that most people have a tendency to do. It just doesn't have it's not trying to be greedy. It's not trying to hurt people. It doesn't care.
Right.
Like these things, they don't care. So in order to get the behavior we want out of them, we have to describe what we want. And we haven't even got the mathematics to do that. So anything that we give to an AI is inherently going to be inaccurate compared to what we want, just necessarily. This is like a mathematical truth at the moment. So you should probably ask it for bounded things and have enough observation on it that if it drifts out of the bounded goals in ways you're uncomfortable with, you can at least stop it long enough to ask. But it doesn't sound like shareholder profit, so no one's going to bother to write that, you know?
Yeah, it'll be interesting how, you know,
When these systems are limited to text in, text out, and there's not side effects on the world, fine, right? Like you can use it for programming. They get some files in, they get some files out, whatever. You give it a terminal shell, and now it can go access the internet and make real pings around the world and hack and steal people's money on cryptocurrency, whatever. Okay,
zero day shit.
you now have given it the ability to have side effects in the world without restraint. Don't do that. Like, it's you've got a nuclear weapon. Maybe don't attach the detonator to it and arm the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
these things are inherently dangerous, but that doesn't mean they have to be weaponized, at least
Right.
by accident. What you really need to avoid doing is the control loop or the cognitive layer on top of the LLM. It says, here's what I want, make a plan, decompose the plan, start executing and having side effects, measure the side effects, and then replan, around what's happening versus what I expected, yada yada yada. Then use hierarchies of that in order to achieve broader and more ambitious goals. That is basics of a cognitive architecture. Don't strap an LLM into a cognitive architecture without some type of monitoring and accountability.
Yeah,
but people are going to do it. They just will.
They just will, and there's just maniacal people out there too. They're just like, we're just gonna speed run this thing.
Oh, there's maniacal people, but like you could buy a bioengineering, fab lab and CRISPR yourself some virus for $10,000 and like kill millions of people, but no one's done that.
And calm down,
Right?
Fauci.
The difference here is I don't really have a good profit pathway to creating a killer virus, but there's an easy profit pathway to, hey, go and do this thing for me, AI, and then I underspecified what I wanted, right? Like I just say, I want to be richer, or even not take the greed out of it. I want everyone to be richer. It says, cool, I cranked inflation up to 11,000%. You're welcome, right? Everyone's wealthier. Number go up, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be
It's going to give you
interesting.
what you ask for.
It'll be interesting to see also just in general with AI, like something that kind of, I don't know. There's so many. I think everybody's kind of talked it to death, all the theoreticals and the what ifs and whatnot. But I wonder how close we are to enough AIs hallucinating in front of doctors, lawyers, politicians, and whatnot that it changes the way labor is distributed. Because the AI is actually wanting more data centers or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it starts to shape society around giving it more of
It's
what it
already
wants. And it's like more data
Yeah,
centers seems like an easy, relevant
I think
thing
it's
right now.
more accurate to say that the money wants more data centers, capital wants to acquire more capital,
Right.
and it views AI as a vector for doing so.
Yeah.
And so capital is redistributing resources of society in ways that benefit humans less and benefit capital more, which is kind of an extenuation of a trend that's been running since 1970. and AI is only going to make that curve go a little more exponential than it already was.
Why 1970? Is that because dawn of the internet and the computer age?
That's then just the charts.
Oh, it's just the charts. Okay, there you go.
You go on most things from wealth inequality to
Just the wealth,
employment to
yeah,
like
wealth
median
charts.
income to
Gotcha.
whatever, right?
Gotcha.
You go to a variety spectrum, take your stat of choice, and right around 1970, there's usually a sharp change in the behavior
Mm-hmm.
where the median income worker stopped getting richer, but the wealthy started getting richer much faster.
Gotcha.
Multiple K-shaped recoveries in the 2000s, 2008, and 2000 with COVID in 2018, 2020 did the same thing. K-shaped recovery, rich got richer, average person did not, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so why? I don't know. We got off the gold standard. I don't know. Started corruption in the U.S. Like speculate. Whatever reason conforms with your political beliefs, but the data is pretty clear. It started right around 1970.
That makes sense. And it's also this weird juxtaposition, I guess, with wealth inequality is like even the poorest person has access to still like pretty decent shoes, and everybody's got two TVs, even if you're poor. Like all these different material things, and like at least in the United States, there is access to food. It may not be healthy, but prior to 1970, there was a lot more starving. So I don't know.
It's true, but jobless numbers are looking pretty bad right now.
Jobless
There's
numbers,
definitely there's
ability to buy
definitely
a
a recent
home.
uptick in unemployment, at least in my software engineering kind
Yeah,
of industry. It's getting hit real hard right now,
cost of
and I think
education.
it's just the early adopter of AI.
Yeah,
As you push adoption into less tech forward industries, you're going to see the same pattern play out across other industries, and so
yeah,
um,
it'll
I
be
don't think the
interesting.
society is ready for some of the conversations we need to have about that.
Yeah, I 100% with you.
A lot more pain is going to happen
My
first.
daughter is she's going to college this for freshman year. We'll be empty nesters, and I've already told her I'm like, figure it out by December because you're gonna the amount of debt. It's just a state university in Kansas. It's gonna be $20,000, and she doesn't have a real clear direction. I'm like, you might, you know, consider the idea of like trying to be an entrepreneur and then having an agent help you figure out a business plan in life because I don't know what you're going to gain out of like every degree and then what the end result in the job market and all that stuff. I know every generation is always fearful about the future, but this time hits different, man. Like you could be pretty sure you could get a job after getting a college degree 20 years ago, right?
For sure. Yeah.
But it's just different now. I already told my other son that's in college, like he's an engineering student. I told him when he went in as a freshman, when you leave this place, it could be a different degree.
The
There
world
may
is a
be,
different world.
yeah, you're probably going to have your AI agent at work with you doing the job of two people. And that's just going to be the basic requirement of the job. Who's your agent? How have you trained it? And let's go build shit. I just see it as a thing. Like you're going to be graded on how you've trained your agent through your upbringing in high school eventually. I don't see how we get away from it.
That's assuming you get a personal agent and not that you're
Correct.
basically using your company's agent that's provided to you,
And you're giving that all
and
right to.
and you're giving them whatever remains of your engineering expertise as
Mm-hmm.
a Faustian bargain for a couple of years of employment until they
Yeah.
let go
Yeah.
that occupation.
Yeah. It's a great conversation. It's just, yep. Yeah.
Well, you're talking some of the stuff from my book. So
There you go.
my advice to your children, if you can get something like if you can get something with enough data, enough expertise, and make a union of people where you can encapsulate that expertise,
Mm-hmm.
you could turn that into a expert model,
Mm-hmm.
and you can monetize that in the next 5 to 10 years. If you don't have that type of job or you don't have that type of expertise, you can start to build agentic meshes that combine those skills into work tasks, into workflows, into skills, into roles. And basically accelerate the curve at other people's expense, but at least you will gain a livelihood.
Yeah.
In other words, you'll be automating away hundreds, if not thousands, of jobs per year that you're doing that, but at least you will be employed in the meantime.
Yeah. Humans got to get back to
So
coordinating.
back to we sucked at it for thousands of years, but at least we sucked at it, but we were ineffective at causing change, right?
Yes.
Causing change at a global scale was kind of limited by humans.
Yep.
Now we came by the Industrial Revolution, and we see the effects of things like climate change as that starts to get out of hand. But it's kind of like a baby is entirely irrational and would totally hurt his entire world around him in his anger or whatever, in his ignorance, but is a baby, so just can't, right?
Right.
Slaps at things futilely instead. That's, humanity is just that, but a little bit more up the power scale, right?
Yeah.
An individual human. But coordination is the great thing that humans need to figure out. And coordination technology moves at a molasses pace compared to things like weaponization, right? Things like information technologies, of which artificial intelligence is within. So I don't know where else in the world coordination technology is having any progress outside of blockchains. Like you get what, SPACs or something, and that was about the yay, TradFi pat them on the back. So that was their invention for the last 10 years. They got SPACs, yay. We need something that can like solve world hunger and antibiotic resistance and nuclear proliferation. Like, can we get some real advances, right?
Yeah. We need
And so far,
something
the answer
really
is kind of
tangible.
no. We need something tangible. And I think those technologies are already available in here or just on the cusp of being here, but they're all in blockchains, right? Where it's happening, it's in blockchains. But even there, it's underinvested. The VCs don't invest in that because that's not where the profit is, right?
Yep.
So how do we even bootstrap funding for something like that at a significant enough scale to reap the rewards? It's kind of a public good, right? And funding public goods is historically, even on chain, kind of difficult, right?
Yep.
So
All right.
it's hard to invest in something privately and see all the benefits socialized. That doesn't work. So this is
Yeah.
what taxes are for.
We gotta
This
figure
is
it
what
out.
coercion is for, right? You have to somehow coerce people into being a participant so that there's no freeloaders. And blockchains can't do that because they're all about autonomy and sovereignty, and you have to consent into everything that it does to you, right? Except when someone rocks you, it doesn't feel like that.
Right. Yeah. For sure.
Except when the AI takes all your money, that doesn't feel like you consented, but you
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Well, it'll be nice to see if we can get some on-chain coordination things figured out and kind of yeah. It's like there's a bright future. It's just we're kind of in the weeds. I mean, you always have been, but this especially pretty critical time. I feel like we've got to get kind of the next 10 years very. We got to get the next 10 years under a bit of social, like not top down control, but like a lot of people need to vote with their feet and their minds and their hands in a way that coordinates and keeps things, hold people accountable up above and, try to make it also a world where a lot of people can thrive in this environment because we're getting aligned to doing what's best for ourselves personally, and also not so much that it impacts our neighbors terribly. I don't know. It's just a big
I
puzzle.
think a lot of people even have a difficult time putting into words what a brighter future looks like at this point.
Yeah.
Our pessimism has come so far, and all the books are cypherpunk, right? And
Yeah.
cyberpunk, and are presenting these dystopian futures. And they look at the world around them, and like things have basically been kind of increasingly scary for the last going on 50 years, right?
Yeah.
um, and it's kind of settled into our culture in a way that people are pretty pessimistic and even have a hard time just elaborating on what a brighter future looks like. How could we even use AI to make a truly brighter future for the average person, the
Yeah.
median person, right? How does that even look in our society? Because by default, every technology that's deployed in our society is going to entrench the status quo rather than disrupt it.
Yep, it's fair. And to that point, there's some of the status quo. They might be sleeping, and a very impoverished person that is also very energetic and enthusiastic and willing to put into work, and they use an AI agent, they can figure out a way out of it. And it's kind of levels the playing ground a little bit. Not everybody used to have access to a computer. Now everybody's got access to the world sized computers in their phone, and that's it kind of levels the playing field for a lot of people. But I think the issue is that the best LLMs that are the most aggressive and able to really make the most impact are held in the hands of few at the top, and we don't get to see behind that curtain. That'll be the difference. I don't know. We'll see. Let's move on. Good chat as always, Logri. Thank you. Logri the Bard is from tokenomicsexplained.com. You can follow all of his blog posts there. And yeah, he's an author and does all kinds of cool stuff. Gumpa Bucky getting a double weekly doot for this week, introduces a new digital asset fund, but user Hani Abu pitches in to explain when something that sounds good may actually be bad. Hani Abu this week is a duder number 145. Gumpa Bucky writes, I haven't seen anyone mention the S&P Pantera Digital Asset Index. Let's open up that mouthful of words here. This says S&P Dow Jones Indices and Pantera Capital launch a new index for digital assets. This was a press release 3 days ago in New York. The world's leading index provider in Pantera Capital is Dow Jones Indices. Digital asset native investment firm have launched the S&P Pantera Digital Asset Index, designed to serve as a benchmark for institutional investors who want to allocate to digital assets in a more disciplined and structured way. Unlike many existing crypto indexes that focus on price momentum or popular tokens, including meme coins or Bitcoin, the original meme coin, this new index uses a rules-based approach similar to what's used in traditional finance benchmarks. It only includes tokens and companies that show real-world use and generate actual revenue. The goal is to highlight digital assets with strong fundamentals, those that are actually being used and have economic value, rather than those that are just speculative or trending. Okay, going back to Reddit here. As such, BTC is not included because it doesn't generate revenue aside from miners. And XRP is not included because its revenue is tiny. ETH will be the biggest asset included in the index of 18 assets. This is a real opportunity for Ethereum to be recognized as number one in revenue generating digital assets, which should be of interest to investors. Awesome. And Hani Abu replies, this is exactly what you don't want, referring to the real opportunity for Ethereum to be recognized as number one in revenue generating assets. This is what you don't want, Hani says. This just reinforced the ideology that blockchain should be valued on fees, which is not the case. The store and value premium is much more important. DCF valuations are the most toxic thing that could happen. Valuing ETH on fees means $100. It's a commodity, not a company. It cannot be valued on fees. Interesting take. Yeah. So the idea is that Ethereum is going to be so cheap to use, I guess, that the fees are kind of almost moot. But the store value narrative should return because, it has a pretty good inflation rate. And it seems to be very consistent with that. And it can always be tweaked if the consensus supports it. So Ethereum needs to start being more like a fluid money versus a limited supply shock thing like gold is, or Bitcoin for that matter. So, yeah, I tend to agree. Don't put your eggs in the basket of Ethereum's going to be a fee generating thing. It does, but the real thing is the store value. Good stuff, Hani Abu. You always got a good take.
It's definitely the bigger
The
pie.
bigger pie.
It's definitely the premium that gold has as a store of value is certainly more than Ethereum's market cap.
Yeah, sure.
It's not close.
Right.
And so if we can capture some sizable percentage of that, because we're gold, but we also can be transmitted more easily.
Bingo.
We're gold, but it can't be falsified because you can't just gold plate some lead and then pass it off, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're gold, but um, it's we're gold, but you can make yield on it by securing the network. We're gold, but other things, right? We can stack these other features and steal a percentage of the market share of a store of value asset. Then yeah, we can justify our current valuation and more. Um, I feel like if anything, we've lost a lot of progress in that in the last 4 years, though.
Yeah. Narrative shifts.
I think there used to be funds like VC funds that would denominate themselves in ETH. No one does that anymore.
Yep.
There used to at least be VC funds that were purely crypto investment vehicles because that was supposed to be like the hottest place to make money. No one does that anymore. It's all frontier tech. Just combined crypto and AI and robotics or something, right? No one's a pure VC like crypto investment vehicle at this point. So I feel like we're losing ground on that. I don't know how to turn that ship. Certainly, we're fighting with BTC over that. And even if BTC were to get its Q day event and die, that's not going to do good things for the ETH price at least in the short term.
In the
right?
short term.
We're going down with it hard. If BTC drops its value 90%, we're falling probably more than 90%. It's not fair, but that's what I'd expect.
Mm-hmm.
Is it stupid? Sure, but everyone's going to run to safety, and the safety they're going to run to is not going to be ETH.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. I mean, it seems like given that we can't have nice things, I think what you're proposing actually is the truth because everybody's going to be, the narrative is like, I don't know. It's just Ethereum is just like can't get its big boy pants on and like
even we were getting our ETF running, right?
Yeah.
People didn't understand ETH. They'd just be like, all crypto is BTC. It'd be like tokenization, that's on Bitcoin, right? Like, no.
Well, the news articles weren't helping either.
Yeah, exactly. It's been a decade of misinformation. So
100%.
It's not. Okay, whether it's their fault or not is irrelevant. But people don't understand ETH. So when BTC has a major hack event because the security budget isn't enough finally,
right?
Or there's a quantum day attack or something, or someone, quantum day attack that's able to take Satoshi's old, Bitcoin from the legacy wallet, right?
Yeah.
When you get some major day event like that, no, they're not going to try and figure out that BTC is different than ETH. They're just going to go to dollars.
Correct. You're not.
I'm going down with it.
I'm with you.
It sucks, but it's.
I don't want to be with you, but I think you're right. They're going to flee to something else and let the dust clear.
I don't know what Ethereum needs to do to change that trajectory. I know that Grant Hummer had some suggestions and wanted to come on the show and talk about it.
Yeah.
Give perspective of Etherealize.
Yeah, Danny Ryan's out there.
Because I'm out of ideas, basically. You make the blockchain have 10 times more throughput. Cool, but we need apps. It feels like we have a lot more infrastructure and not anyone on the horizon that's going to eat up the capacity of the blockchain. So the space is going to be cheap. And so the DCF valuations are going to be abysmal. And if you want ETH to be successful as an asset, you somehow have to give a narrative that's going to be different than what's been provided now.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that going to be? If you say, AT&T is going to have to come in and plop in, or Chase Bank is going to have to come in and plop down $100 billion on ETH in order to make the network secure enough for them to use it, they just won't adopt it in the first place. Right? So we need to have a story that allows these players to adopt it. Even things like gas can spike is just this weird turnoff to major players going like, well, what's the fee going to be? Oh, we think it'll be like $10, but it's not a guarantee. They're like, well, I better, do you have a future or something I can use for that, right? Because otherwise, financial hedging, the gas spike is not something that they're interested in, right? We need simpler adoption mechanisms. We need better self-custody. If we ever want self-custody to be a thing, we need a better story than well, you put your key into whatever last pass, and so now your money's gone, right? We have to stop having hacks every day. We need to stop having things undermine our legitimacy through blatant corruption and grift.
Yeah, these are all.
And I just don't know. I just don't know that we can tackle one, let alone all of those bullets. So I don't know how you shift the narrative.
Yeah.
I would love to hear the perspective of Danny Ryan or a Grant Hummer or Vivek.
They were just on.
Tell us how we're gonna change the narrative, guys.
Yeah, they were just on with who's the British guy, Real Vision. I haven't watched the episode yet.
Rahul Pal.
Yeah, Rahul Pal. And then again, it's just hopefully time heals all that stuff. It's just kind of like, yeah, it feels like Ethereum's been beat down.
Time isn't healing
but it's
right
like
now, right?
it's
We're
still
worse than we were 4 years ago.
It's still chugging. It's never had a hiccup. I mean,
technically it's flawless.
It's like it's kind of like people never really complain about the internet until it goes out. We've stopped kind of caring about it used to be exciting to like go to this place called online, and for those first few years, it was just
waiting for the modem to dial.
Yeah, it was like euphoria, right? It was so fun. And then it's just like, God, it's taking like a second to load this page. Why? Which is the expectations and like the barrier to entry. What hasn't changed is like the cost of getting online, right? It's still it's gotten a little cheaper over time and more people than ever are online. But we stopped kind of like all those little fun things about doing it that's all left to the nerds at the top. But we don't really monetize. It used to be you used to pay by the data. Your phone bill would have like all of your data charges for being online, So it's all monetized in a different way. But you're right. I just feel like Ethereum has like had this weird bumpy road of like we get going in the right direction and then there's a black swan. We get going in the right direction, it's a black swan. And a lot of times, to your point, it's not even Ethereum related. It's like some other thing happens, but somehow Ethereum gets punished more.
Yeah, the yen trade starts to unwind, and then we're down 20% a day. It's like
what happened? God. Okay. Well, let's wrap up this show. It looks like our big boy Harog at the top of the list. He's had a double weekly shout out. Harog is and if you're giving us the update on the Ethereum economic zone for people interested in what's going on in the EEZ, the Ethereum economic zone side of things, they've recently released a first monthly blog post about their progress and goals. For those who do not know, the EEZ aims to connect rollups and other side chains synchronously together through the magic of real-time proving, mainly ZK proofs, with Ethereum mainnet as the center of coordinating them together. The blog summarizes what was presented at DAppCon in the Berlin Blockchain Week in June. I did not watch the individual talks yet, but I guess there is something in it for everyone. Progress was mostly in the background, like finishing the specs, especially how reverts should be handled. They have finished the part on handling calls in both directions, from rollup to layer 1, and vice versa in code, which to me reads, it should be in testnet soon. The current testnet runs on their own Chiato testnet. Chiato is the testnet for Gnosis Chain. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. So apologies if I'm not. The functionality is not fully there yet. Also, they only have a single prover setup. The next testnet iteration is planned for the end of August, which is also around the time they plan to deploy on Ethereum mainnet. By the end of the year, the plan to add Gnosis Chain to the EEZ in a limited fashion. Gnosis Chain is its own layer 1, which then would be coupled to Ethereum for these synchronous calls. This coupling means that if there is a block reordering on Ethereum which throws out any EEZ transaction, Gnosis Chain will have to reorder their own chain as well. For people who rather like listening to content, I can suggest to listen to the latest Epicenter podcast from 3 weeks ago. They interviewed Friederike Friedrich Ernst about the EEZ and their plans. It is great to hear how the people involved in the EEZ are polishing how they talk about it and what the focus is on. In March, when EEZ was announced, many things were still unknown and in flux. But now that things progress and they understand the usual misunderstandings people have, they can communicate much clearer. You can check out their blog posts at eez.io/blog. And then, of course, check out the Epicenter podcast at epicenter.tv. It's episode 642. Yesterday's let's see, part of it. Okay, there's a quote here. Okay, that's it. Even though the form is long, technical, I'm skimming here because some of this got copied twice, it looks like. Let's see. The conclusion is that becoming a roll-up and joining the EEZ is the best way to go forward. The plan is that in December or January. For users, nothing will change the state, which means all your tokens and transaction history will remain. Just who is able to produce the blocks will change. This also means that the existing validators will not be needed anymore, and the current bridge validators run by Gnosis themselves will be repurposed to prove the chain and run the composer on the Gnosis rollup. They also will rename Gnosis chain to Gnosis EEZ to make it clear it is not an independent blockchain anymore. Even though the forum post is long, there aren't too many technical details on how the chain will work. They said they will likely use trusted execution environments, also known as TEEs, to prove the chain and not ZK proofs, at least in the beginning. They plan to move to ZK proofs later on when the EEZ specs are ready. They will use a centralized sequencer, and there's no decision made on whether they want to decentralize the sequencer set, but it is definitely not a priority. They also do not plan to have a forced transaction inclusion from Ethereum to Gnosis EEZ. They plan to focus on the basics first. I'm honestly surprised about this forum post, even though I argued yesterday that it does not make too much sense to remain an L1 and become part of the EEZ. Being a rollup, or more general, in a layer 2 makes more sense. I honestly expected this to play out on a much longer time horizon because Gnosis evaluated and dismissed becoming a rollup pretty clearly 2 years ago. Looks like the EEZ and maybe them having to hard fork their chain last autumn changed a lot in their thinking about security and how much they pay for it. Overall, it's great to see. Gnosis and Gnosis Chain have been contributing quite a bit to the Ethereum ecosystem, and I prefer them being closer to Ethereum than remaining an L1. I really hope this Gnosis improvement proposal goes through. You can check out the rest of that at forum.gnosis.io. It looks like GIP 153 regarding the Ethereum economic zone.
Good post. Great news. Good job, Harag.
Good job, Harag. Smashing it. All right. Well, that's it for today. Check out Logri DeBart at tokenomicsexplained.com. Thanks so much for sticking around and being a technical host on this episode. We do have 2 guests in the works coming up in August, most likely. I don't think I'm going to be around next Friday, but we might try to squeeze in a guest not on a Friday sometime. If that's the case, it'll just be like a secret show thing, and we'll go live when we get the person. I'm really hoping for that because it'll be a banger for sure. All right. Well, that's it. Head on over to dailydoots.com. Subscribe to everything. Smash balls or whatever. It's great to have you here. On behalf of the EV Mavericks DAO and the R Ethereum Daily General Discussion, my name is JT. Cheers and big hug.